first of those apocalyptic moments is the baptismal scene. This one is private, for Jesus only. But you and I, the readers of Mark's narrative, are giving special insight as we are let in on the vision. In that scene, Jesus sees one, the heavens being rent apart and a dove descending. 2, he hears a voice from heaven. 3, the voice declares, "You are my Son, the Beloved." And 4, John the Baptist is portrayed and personified as Elijah. That's at the beginning of the gospel. Then, in the middle of the gospel narrative, in the transfiguration scene, this apocalyptic moment is more public, inasmuch as Peter and James and John are included in the hearing and the seeing of the moment. Here, 1, Jesus' garments turn white and a cloud descends. 2, a voice is heard from the cloud. 3, the voice declares to the disciples, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." And 4, Moses and Elijah appear on the mountaintop along with Jesus. That is the second apocalyptic moment in the middle of Mark's gospel. And that brings us to today in the story of Mark's gospel. Today, at the cross, is the third apocalyptic moment. There is a heavenly sign. Darkness covers the land, and the sanctuary veil is rent from top to bottom. 2, there is a voice. Mark says, Jesus cried out in a loud voice. And a second time Jesus cries out. Mark says, Jesus gave a loud cry. 3, there is a centurion at the foot of the cross who says, this man was God's Son. Or you might read that, this man was God's Son. But either way, Jesus is identified as the Son of God. And finally, the fourth marker, some people, as they heard Jesus cry out, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, thought that he was calling for Elijah. So when you put the portents of Jesus anticipating the events in Jerusalem and the apocalyptic moments that are given to us throughout the gospel, you have the keys for reading and interpreting the Friday events. If you look at Friday from the perspective of the world has won. The crowds have faded away. Their presence, which protected Jesus earlier in the week, was subverted through the actions of a traitor, a betrayer, one of Jesus' chosen 12. And all of the 12 have fled in fear from the scene. Indeed, they will not appear again in the gospel narrative. And the temple authorities certainly seem to have gotten their way. Jesus is dead. Seen from the world's perspective, this is indeed a victorious day. Jesus is silenced, and the power and dominion, and their power and dominion seems to remain intact. What more could they want? And yet, if you've been paying attention to the narrative, if you've been reading carefully, if you've been hearing the clues, there are still a few clues lying around that suggest that this story, this apparent worldly victory, is not over. That there's more to come. More to be said. While all the male disciples have fled the scene, the women who followed Jesus remained at a safe distance away, yet close enough to observe. Close enough that one, Mary Magdalene by name, sees where the body is placed. Strange comments, if the story is ended. And then there is the report of the veil in the temple being ripped from top to bottom at the moment of Jesus' death. Ripped in a most unearthly manner from top to bottom. Had it been ripped from the bottom to the top, one might assume that two people got a hold of it and played tug-of-war and it split. But no human could reach the top to rend it so. And the text is explicit. The curtain is rent from top to bottom, suggesting that maybe this is a divine act. So is there another way to see the cross? Is it a victory of the human one who lost his life for the sake of the gospel? Has the human one indeed come in power and glory? Is this his moment? The moment of the human one's coming in power? Mark insists that we wait until Sunday morning to hear the rest of the story. But we ponder and we wonder, is the cross a victory for the way of God? Is the world about to turn?